Hello, and welcome to the Down East Sports Network College Football Show Week 9. As you see, I'm riding solo for the moment. Should have someone joining me here in a couple minutes, but great Week 8. Bunch of high intensity matches. We saw number 1 versus number 5 again this season, and number 1 keeps falling. It's been a great college football season so far, a little over halfway through. And if you're on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff on Twitter. Retweet the video, share with a friend, give us a follow. Let me pull the chat up right now. If you're in the chat, say what's up. Plan is to probably talk a bulk a little bit about some ECU coaching candidates, especially considering the news. As you guys see, as the episode's labeled, Mike Houston got fired just early Sunday morning. We were receiving reports late Saturday night that he might have got fired on the way back. What's up, Zach? But I've done some due diligence. Good Lord. On 2 of ECU's coaching candidates, but let's lead into what happened. ECU goes up to West Point, New York, and it was ugly from the word go. 24-zip at the half. I wasn't surprised. We talked about eye discipline and things like gap control and all those good things. Just, your normal triple option coach speak. And it was evident on the first drive. You take a penalty, and then immediately that your eyes are in the wrong spot. We get beat over the top, and it did not take long for Army to start scoring. And this isn't your typical Army team that wins 21-7. Low scoring games, time of possession. Yes, they do drill time of possession. That is still the name of their game, but they score points in bunches, and that's what they like to do, and that's what they did Saturday. I thought the fight from ECU in the second half was something we were missing against Charlotte the week before, which kind of leaves me to be kind of just honestly shocked that Mike Houston got fired this weekend. Obviously me and Paul have both been preaching that we thought he should have been let go after the Charlotte game. I don't know what the AD saw differently in this one that made them decide this was the week to move on from him. Of course, players are unhappy. I think that's kind of prototypical. Whenever your coach gets fired, you're gonna go to bat for your guy. Should make for an interesting matchup with Temple this week. I'm curious if anybody in there's got opinions on who they'd like to talk about for coaching candidates wise. I'm not going to spend too much more time on the game. But I have picked what I think are my lead 2 candidates, at least as in of right now, and did a little deep diving on them. I definitely lean more towards a defensive minded coach. Mike Houston being a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball hasn't worked. And when ECU's been at its best, whether it be with Skip Holtz or Ruffin McNeil, it was a high-flying offense and still, stout defenses, especially in that Ruffin era. But, scoring was the name of the game. And lead off with Joe Salone, current offensive coordinator for LSU, was a QB's coach there. And just rolling through his history here, his total offense in all years as a coordinator, starting at Louisiana Tech. He spent the bulk of his time in the state of Louisiana. He's never dipped below averaging 315 yards per game. He's had one bad season, I think, offensively, and that was 2020 with La Tech, which I'm not mistaken is the year Coach Skip Holtz was fired from there. But the lowest that was his worst year offensively, 2020. They averaged 315 yards per game, 27 points. We'll round up for him. About 216 yards through the air and only 99 yards rushing a game. But as soon as he got there, they were 35th in team offense. Kind of 2 drop-off years after that. But as soon as he gets to LSU, it really started to kind of take fold. And, they had a great quarterback in Jaden Daniels, but he goes from 25th in the nation to first, and they're currently 26th this year with a brand new quarterback that I know not a lot of people knew what to make of. And, I mean, here he is. We look at the Heisman season. He had Jaden Daniels jump up almost 100 yards from 2022 to 2023. Scoring went up 11 points. Passing went up 70 yards. Rushing went up about 20 yards per game. Just not even marginal, substantial improvements from year one to year two with a quarterback, which hasn't maybe been the story for East Carolina with ever since Holton's left. It's been a revolving door the last two seasons. So I think that's something I really kind of honed in on with these two guys is their ability to develop quarterbacks. Both these guys, as I'll get into the other candidate that I have in the lead. And we've got plenty of time to discuss as many coaches as we want to discuss, because I don't think a decision is going to be made until probably at least the bowl game, if I had to guess. But yeah, I mean, so far this season with Nussmeier, he's got averaging 450 yards per game, 34 points per game. That's 30th in the country. Got the number 8 rated passing attack, averaging 322 yards per game and almost a $128 rushing. A pretty balanced attack, maybe not yards wise, but you're never going to catch that. I mean, the teams aren't just running for 200 yards per game anymore. I like what I've seen number wise. Obviously an ECU alum, played quarterback here, so he knows the culture. I say this being a fan of a school that has hired a former player of theirs and has had immense success with Kirby Smart. I err on the side of caution with getting an alum. I know there's a couple names getting thrown around that are alums, but of those, I think Joe Salone's my favorite so far. I really like what he's done with LSU in these 3 seasons he's been there so far as a offensive coordinator and a QB's coach. I mean, Jaden Daniels was not a struggling quarterback, but an inconsistent quarterback at Arizona State and then at LSU when he got there that first season. And really we all saw that team last year. It just was unstoppable on offense. And if they had even relative defense that could keep up with that offense, that's a national title caliber team. But I think he could get, at least offensively, us back to what I think ECU fans are more accustomed to seeing, scoring about 40 points per game. And he's done that with La Tech and LSU. He's been a recruiting coordinator at a couple spots. So, money's pouring into the school like we haven't really seen before. And I think he isn't my lead candidate, but it's definitely between these two guys for me. The other being Garrett Riley, current offensive coordinator at Clemson. And that's kind of what I was alluding to with quarterback development between both these guys. He's doing the same thing with Klubnik. I believe that's his name. Might have got that wrong. I should know that. Is it Cole Klubnik? You'd think you would know these things. This is what happens when I fly solo. Cade Klubnik. I knew it was some sort of name like that, but no. Cade, kind of underwhelming season last year. We'll go through their 2023 stats at Clemson. 52nd in the in team offense, averaging 402 yards per game, 29.8 points per game, right around 230 yards passing per game, and a great rushing attack at Clemson, which is something I think another reason why I lean more towards him is that he has utilized the ground game everywhere he's gone, including TCU and SMU. I'd love to see us go with a more balanced attack. I think we saw it 2 years ago when quarterback play has been such a struggle for East Carolina the last 2 seasons since Holton's left. And we have a great running back room and we have some young guns in there right now. I just, even through the games this year, haven't really seen us have too much of a balanced attack. and just his running game, especially, I mean, at TCU, whether it be with an athletic quarterback or with a running back, I mean, they had it both there that season. I mean, that 2022 season, historic season for TCU. They were 27th in the country in team offense, 10th in the nation in scoring, 39th in passing, 31st in rushing. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. I mean, averaging almost 40 points per game that season. His last year at SMU, 38.4 games, 38.4 points per game. I mean, the guy scores everywhere he's been so far this season. They're averaging 40. Clemson's averaging 42 points per game. Almost 500 yards of offense. Almost 300 yards passing a game and 200 yards rushing. Like I just said, that's not very common anymore in this game. You know, talent wise, obviously, we're not Clemson. Clemson's got a pretty strong offensive line this season. That's something that I think has been severely lacking at East Carolina. But it's hard to argue with his numbers, and I tried to look away from records because that was Mike Houston's thing. Mike Houston won everywhere he's been. I don't think we're gonna necessarily hire another head coach from somewhere else. I think I do see us kind of going the coordinator route here, and it might bear success. I mean, Garrett Riley's another person who has been here before. I believe he was a grad assistant when his brother Lincoln was here, which, hey, maybe he's a candidate for all we know if he gets fired at USC this year. Highly doubt we got the money to get his brother, but that is another concern I have with Garrett Riley being at Clemson right now. Is East Carolina a prestigious enough job? Do we have the money to lure him away from Clemson? It's just tough to say. Know a lot of people, especially those that listen to Pirate Radio, have been talking about. Oh, I'm losing his name right now. Do a little bit of research. If I can find it. Bear with me, folks. Of course, now I'm not going to be able to get it. Dwayne Ledford. That took me way longer than it should have. I know people have been leaning towards him, another ECU alum. Skip Holtz, former coach, he's been brought up. There's a couple coordinators in SEC land. There's a Georgia assistant coach that's been brought up. I want to say the Vols offensive coordinator has been brought up. So it definitely seems like the AD is geared towards a more offensive-minded approach. Ledford being, I think, the O-line coach for the Falcons currently. But I think either way you go here, whether it be a former player or someone that has spent time here in Greenville, I think that is the right approach to this coaching search. You need someone that understands the area. It's something I've said for years that I think ECU could pick up way more talent in this state than they do already, and having the right guy there would do nothing but help that. I mean, this is unfortunately been a team that's been trending down outside of one or two good seasons with Mike Houston, and I know all of us would like to get back to those glory days. The search starts now. It's going to be a tough. I think it's going to be a tough rest of the season. We're going to see what guys stay, what guys are leaving. Definitely, the quicker this gets answered, the better. But like I said, I don't see us making a decision until about bowl season. If anyone in the chat has any coaching candidates, I know this has been pretty ECU focused, which I think in the coming weeks, obviously, like I said, we're going to continue to kind of talk about coaching candidates as they're brought up. I only prepared the two today, but there's plenty of names being thrown around. I just would like to see this team move back to a more offensive approach. I feel like I've beat that horse to death in these, 15 minutes or so, but And it's tough to say what kind of recruiting these guys can do, especially being at marquee programs the last couple years. But I think that's an area of improvement for East Carolina that can be fixed easily with the right guy at the helm. The money's here. I truly think growing up an SEC fan and then attending college here for an undisclosed amount of years, the the fan base is rowdy. It's a passionate fan base. When I mean the App State game, that was a rowdy environment. I can think of a bunch of marquee matchups we've had when the bill is there. This fan base gets very into it and supports this team with everything they got. I would just love to see something happen. How many more years of what, Zach? Of mediocrity? Hopefully, no more. I'd like for us to be done being mediocre. That'd be great. Um, but yeah, how many years of what? Oh, Zach, you know the answer to that question. I'm not answering that. It was 5 and some change. But that's about all I got. We might loop back whenever the guests arrive. But I'll move us kind of. I feel like I'm rushing through this, but move us right into Week 8 recap. Miami Louisville fit the bill. I had the over in that game, and it hit in the first half. I think back and forth game. Cam Ward continues to put up great numbers. Definitely be the strongest player on that Miami team. That defense is something to worry about. They got an easy schedule the rest of the way for the most part. But Louisville keeps it close. Miami 52, Louisville 45. Louisville scored late, didn't get the onside kick, and that was pretty much all she wrote. But Louisville's a tough out, that's for sure. We'll talk a little bit more about Miami and real or fake. Or no, we won't. But I'm starting to think they're not on a downhill trend because, like I just said, their schedule is beyond easy the rest of the way. But if they have to play Clemson in Charlotte in the ACC championship game, good luck. And don't forget, SMU is still hanging around right there. Might have a tie of sorts. Look back and look at SMU's schedule. As the Ponies continue to get it done there in the Atlantic Coast Conference, that is bi-coastal now. Pull up SMU's schedule. Yeah, I don't really see anything daunting coming from SMU coming off the bye. Do they have a bye this week? Or yeah, they got Stanford this week. At Duke. Do they have Stanford this week? Am I off? No, they do not have Stanford this week. I'm a dummy. They have Duke this week. Got a tough matchup against Pittsburgh coming November 2nd. Who'd have thunk that Pittsburgh would be undefeated this far into the season? Next game, quick little recap here. Ain't much happened. Illinois beats Michigan 21-7. And if I were to tell you that Illinois only had 80 yards passing, meanwhile Michigan had 200, I think you'd be absolutely surprised. Michigan just looks devoid of offense in every way, shape, or form. Illinois looks like a decent 8-4 team going through the rest of the way. But we'll get into the two kind of marquee matchups of last week, Alabama and Tennessee. Alabama loses 17-24 and what just looked like two teams struggling for offense in the first half. Was really surprised in how Milrose looked since the Georgia game. Seemed to be running the ball quite well and had a great run on a third down play. I think picked up a first down, and they end up getting flagged for whether I can't remember if it was holding or no, I think that was the unsportsmanlike conduct, kills the drive. But Nico missing deep balls left and right. That was kind of the story of his day, but made the one matter when it needed to, and ended up heaving one down the field to take the lead. And Alabama looked nervous. The stadium got into it, and this is just not the same disciplined Alabama team that we're used to seeing. Here's my special guest. What's up, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
We might loop back around on ECU talk now that you're here. I'm just running through the recap, bro.
Nice.
Um,
Try to not fall getting to my seat.
oh, you're going the back way. Yeah,
I guess I can
like my table.
Quality table.
Got Matt joining us.
What's going on, everybody?
He's really just
Thanks
here
for
to help
having
me not ramble completely. And
Yes. Contributions will be at somewhat of a minimum, but, moral support, and we're excited to be here.
Yep.
The Downey Sports College Football Show. Gotta love it.
Sports college football show.
Gotta freaking
Yeah,
love it.
well, I'll just wrap up the recap here. Last game we had was Georgia, Texas. Georgia 30, Texas 15 in a dominant win, except for the fact if you throw things on the field, you can now get calls changed.
Yeah, I didn't really like that. That was bad.
And you were here watching it with me, and I said it objectively. That's the wrong call. It was the wrong call. If anything, 100%. It was offensive pass interference.
They had come back to the line. They started throwing stuff on the field. It gave the officials a chance to sit there and talk about it.
Yeah.
And
you can't
do that.
Spot the ball.
You can't change the call after that. After you come back to the line and then the fans interfere. You can't then reverse the call in the previous play.
Which the two takes I've heard from this that I've subscribed to heavily is, one, you've now set a precedent.
Absolutely.
That this can be done anywhere. And two, honestly, thank God they reversed the call. Because now Texas can't say they got cheated.
Yeah.
And that would have allowed them back in the game. I would have loved to have seen 8 less points on the board for them and beat them 30-7. But a couple interesting things from just between that call. It didn't really make a ton of sense to go to Arch Manning when they did.
I mean, they were struggling.
I get it and I don't.
They were struggling and he needed a little energy.
Which I've heard people say they were like, well, they put him in to go, hey, this isn't a Quinn Ewers problem.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've now seen what a healthy Georgia team looks like.
Georgia's a great football team.
And
there's no dispute
between Malachi Williams and Jalen Walker, with the two of them being healthy, that defensive front for Georgia is unreal.
They looked incredible.
Dalen Everett had a big game. ETN had a great game running the football, but not to rehash this again, but I feel like we probably have a more ECU crowd. I chose 2 coaches to highlight.
Okay.
I got Joe Salone, the LSU offensive coordinator.
Yep.
And Garrett Riley, who I think is the leader in the clubhouse for me.
I knew that was your favorite coming into it. I was a little partial to Sloan. I don't know much. I haven't looked much into it. But so far, I'm partial to Sloan.
Yeah. And I'll rehash this quickly again, but both of them, from year 1 with a quarterback to year 2, the just drastic improvement. I mean, LSU went from 25th to 1st with Jaden Daniels' second year. And Klubnik, so far this year, they went from the 52nd ranked offense in the country that now they're 7th in the country so far this year. Outside of that Georgia game, he's looked great. Yeah, I mean, Clemson's averaging 42 points per game.
That was Georgia's defense.
Yeah. So and just kind of mentioning the concerns of, there will be a talent disparity coming here.
No doubt.
I feel more confident in luring Salone from LSU than I do Garrett Riley from Clemson.
Agreed. Agreed.
I just, I don't really know the buyout situation and how much money we still owe him, but I don't know what the figure would be to get a coach from Clemson. Is this a better job than being offensive coordinator at Clemson?
I was about to say, is it better than a coordinator job at the cream of the crop of the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, you could say
don't know
the same
answer
thing.
To that question, honestly.
You could say the same thing about LSU, who's leader in the clubhouse right now in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah.
I just think you're going to have an easier time luring an alum.
Agreed.
And
somebody to come back home.
A little bit of a hometown discount, and I'll just throw this back out of the chat again. If you guys have any coaching candidates you want to hear us talking about, because we got, I don't think we're going to hire anybody till bowl season.
Agreed. I think we're going to wait, and it may even be a week or 2 into bowl season.
So we got plenty of time. That's why
I've heard we've reached out to Skip Holtz.
Yeah, I have heard that as well.
Like, there's who knows what John Gilbert's going to do?
Yeah,
let's be completely honest. Like, who knows?
There's some chatter. Let me pull this back up around Jerry Mack, who's the running backs coach for the Jags right now, and then Tennessee volunteer former offensive coordinator Tyson Helton, who's now the head coach at Western Kentucky, as options. I mentioned there's a Georgia coach that got mentioned, but his name escapes me right now for whatever reason.
That is, yeah. I really have no idea where we're gonna go. Your usual host Paul had a good sentiment about it and saying he thinks his hire should be a ECU hire, like a former player or something like that. And I kind of agree with him. I'll be 100% honest with you. I kind of agree with him.
See, I'm almost on the other side of that. Not completely. I would not mind if we ended up going with a former ECU player.
Mm-hmm.
I just worry about the pressure that comes with that.
Agreed.
And you've seen it work. And then I brought up the fact that the school I cheer for, first and foremost, hired a former player. And it's been great for us, but it also has not worked in some cases. We saw what happened with Scott Frost in Nebraska.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other examples off the top of my head, but it does not work every time.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a tendency, I think, to hold on to coaches a little longer than we should anyways.
Absolutely.
And having an alum might make that worse.
I could definitely see that.
Whereas and I think that's why I end up leaning a little bit more Garrett Riley, is that he's coached here before.
Yeah.
He didn't go here. He just coached here. So that he still gets the culture.
He's still an ECU hire.
Yeah.
No, I hear that.
But it's definitely going to be an interesting coming weeks in the next coming months or so. Do a little real or fake here. You can just have fun with these if you want.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean,
real or fake, Alabama.
Alabama's fake. They suck.
They definitely don't look good.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny. It's your first year without Saban, and Kalen DeBoer is just doing uncharacteristic Alabama things.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna go fake there because I can see them being a 4-loss team. I mean, I don't know what the rest of our schedule looks like. That's the thing there. But the fact that they've already picked up some early losses.
I mean, they still got to play LSU.
Oh, yeah.
So they still got to play LSU. I think that game is in Tuscaloosa, I believe. But following up with the team they played, because I think both these teams are fake, in all honesty. Tennessee.
I think they're more real than Bama.
Clearly. Clearly, they won.
They beat them, so I guess,
Which it's still just astonishing to me that Alabama had every chance to kind of run away with that game and just never did. But Nico just looks so much like a freshman. And I think the kid's going to be a stud by the time everything's said and done. Yeah.
But here's the thing is, if your growing pains come in a win against Alabama, and again, that's not me singing his praises because I don't think he's a full, he's got a lot of developing to do. But if that's where some of your growing pains come, is in a win against Bama,
I don't think you're
not you want for naught. I mean, you're doing pretty all right in that situation. So, but I would say they're more real than Bama, but I don't know if I'd give them a full real.
And then speaking of some guy we've talked about a lot's brother, I got Lincoln Riley on the real or fake list.
To be honest, I know USC's underperforming, but I hadn't paid much attention.
How
bad is it?
They lost to Maryland. Yeah, they've given up double-digit leads. I think they've already lost 4 games.
What's their conference record? Oh, they've already lost 4 games?
Yeah, they are not off to what some would call a hot start.
Yeah, I'm going to go fake then. Like, I mean, they're selling.
I think he's
real. I mean, just the team might be bad. I don't know.
I mean, he's got the quarterback again. Miller Moss looks legit at times, but
Miller Moss.
Yeah, I know.
College football, that's my favorite. College football 25 is my favorite guy to play against. He's terrible.
I wonder if he got, propped up by Heisman winning quarterbacks.
Yeah, I
mean, between Baker and Kyler Murray and Caleb Williams and had Jalen Hurts for a year, and
he did.
Maybe it just was.
Maybe he ran out of Heisman level quarterbacks.
And not that Miller Moss is a slouch, but he ain't Caleb Williams. No. Next, I got kind of the fun one on here. Does Indiana get into the playoff at 11-1? That one loss being to Ohio State. Their schedule's boo-boo.
Yeah.
Your whole block that you came from, boo-boo. It's a Kendrick line.
Nice.
Um,
Again, it'll be I'm curious to see what the committee does this year. Honestly, like we'll learn a lot this year on how they're going to treat teams like
Yeah.
that. Weak ass schedule in a power conference, 11-1 with a loss against their one quality opponent, but have been dominant against all the
Yeah.
other mid-level teams. Like,
And,
what does the committee do with that team?
They
And
did just shellac Nebraska.
so, I mean, if you put up consistent good results and it's like it's whoopings consistently, I could see it.
Great comment from Zach there. Lincoln Riley is the
the
of the NCAA.
It's a quality comment. We should pin that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can.
We can do that. Yeah. Should do that right there. Where this gets interesting for me, I think it's a real chance that they get into playoff at 11-1.
Yeah.
If they get their doors blown off by Ohio State, I think that makes it interesting.
Oh yeah. Well, and then also, are you talking about a one-loss team that might have a chance in the conference championship game for a rematch?
Yeah.
How does it look if you lose?
And that's
to Ohio State. I mean, I think you're kind of out of it then when you get whooped by that same team twice.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like, is there another one-loss team going into conference championship week in these other conferences? I mean, you got to think we're having to fill out 7 at-large bids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to fill this out, and so it's like, how do you keep a one-loss team that makes their conference championship game and loses to the same dominant team in their conference twice? That is one of your bye teams. It's a playoff team.
I mean, the committee's going to have a problem with the Big Ten and SEC.
Oh, absolutely. They're like, I am so excited to watch them squirm because they've needed to do, expand the playoff for several years now, but now that they've done it, they've created their own beast, and I'm excited to see what they do with it.
I always thought the number was 6. Not complaining because I think this is the perfect year for a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, I like the 12 team now that we're
I always thought 6 was the number.
For some reason, I was an 8 guy, but
1 and 2 get a bye. You basically do it like a conference in the NFL.
Yeah.
1 and 2 get a bye. And,
absolutely.
I know they got 7 teams now or whatever, but
yeah,
the way the NFL used to do it. Last on here is head coach of Michigan Moore gets fired after 1 season.
Again, I'm not entirely sure how they're performing. Like, I hadn't watched any of their games.
Well, they just lost to Illinois 21-7, and Illinois had 80 yards of passing, and Michigan had 200 and something. And they still only scored 7 points. Sheldon.
Yeah, he's probably going to get fired.
That's his name. I think he's gone. I think he's the wrong guy. I think that's a very real likelihood. And move us on into the Week 9 slate before we get back to some ECU topics. 4 games we highlight just like every week. First off, at noon, I got Notre Dame -14 at Navy, so to speak. It's in MetLife. Over under at 51.5. This is a test for what is the 24th ranked Navy team, I believe. 23rd to 25, somewhere in that range.
This is the midshipmen's chance to get a win, a quality win to put themselves at the front for the representative for the group of 5 in the playoff. I mean, yeah, no, I completely agree. And is this a chance for Notre Dame to bounce back, or is this kind of a
Notre Dame's sitting right there in the way right now? And I'd love to sit here and tell you, Navy's going to win this game and just truthfully eliminate what the committee's Notre Dame problem is right now, because they're going to get in if they run the table.
Yeah, it's
just. Especially with the way Texas and A&M's looked, that win just keeps getting more and more impressive.
Absolutely.
I just don't think Navy's going to have the dogs to compete. I actually think Notre Dame's an above average team, which is saying a lot coming from my mouth because I can't stand that school. But
what's wrong with the Irish?
Everything. And it's really not the Irish. It's a certain thing that they represent there. But I just don't think Navy, and for this case, because Army plays them as well, I don't think either of them just have the dogs to keep up with them. At the end of the day, it is Notre Dame, and they got athletes. And the academies, as great as these stories have been, I think you're going to see them catch their losses here. And still a real shot they meet in the American Championship because this is a non-conference game. So.
Oh, yeah.
I would actually give I think Army's the better team, but I think because Navy can actually move the ball through the air.
Yeah.
I'd give Navy a little better of a chance against Notre Dame than I would Army, but we shall see. Next on here, for whatever reason, I really like talking about Illinois games, even though I can't stand to watch them. They take on Oregon, going to Eugene, over under at 54.5. Oregon 22-point favorite. I think we're about to see the beginning of what Oregon's going to look like for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I think we got a glimpse of it against Ohio State. They, had a potential letdown spot the following week, and they took care of business there. I think they continue to roll and probably easily win this by 3 scores.
Yeah, I think they could cover that at -22. I mean, yeah.
Next on here, we how did I forget to put the biggest game of the week on here? How did I not do that? We'll talk about Missouri, Alabama. We're going to have a 5th game because I can't believe I just left a game off of here. That is the biggest game of the week. Does Alabama bounce back against Missouri? I think Missouri, as I've said most of the year, is one of the biggest frauds in the country. 16.5-point favorites. I think Vegas is even telling you as bad as Alabama's looked. Missouri should have lost to Auburn last week. Auburn is an abysmal football team.
Yeah.
They are not good. And I know Georgia struggled with them, so to speak, but Auburn is not a good football team. And, well, Hugh Freeze is a scumbag. I don't know if that would be an FCC violation, but I don't have to worry about those kind of things. Over under 51.5. I think Alabama's going to have to do everything in their power to hit the over there.
Yeah.
I just Missouri's defense is not good, or at least not as good as it was last year. And their offense, they have a killer wide receiver. I've actually heard their OC being mentioned as I need to do a deep dive on him. That will be next week. So if you're in the chat, next week we will talk about Missouri's offensive coordinator, whose name I do not know. I think Alabama probably wins this game 35-14.
Yeah.
It's just kind of my 2 cents there. Really just bouncing things off of you to make sure I don't sound like a complete imbecile right now. I would say last but not least, but I, again, forgot what is the biggest game of the week. But Texas going to Vanderbilt. Can Vandy do it again? Can Vandy do it again?
Vandy dandy. I mean, gosh, why not at this point? They're making it happen.
I think 18.5-point favorites is such a weird line growing up, knowing what Vanderbilt's been the majority of my life.
Yeah.
And here they are. I saw a wild thing on Twitter that if Ole Miss beat Georgia, Vandy beats Texas, Alabama beats LSU, A&M beats LSU, and Texas beats A&M, you'd have all these teams, including Vanderbilt, at 6-2 in conference. And that would make for a lot of fun, to put it lightly. But
oh yeah,
I mean, this is exciting. Vandy's got another team in a tough spot again at home.
Yeah.
Ball control, ball control, ball control. That being said,
can Pavia do it?
35-21 Texas. I don't think they can do it. Now, I don't know how I left this off my sheet, but real or fake game of the week. LSU going to Kyle Field, number 8 Tigers versus the number 14 Texas A&M Aggies. It is a pick'em at the moment. It is a pick'em. And I checked this line not but 2 hours ago when I was making my picks, and it was not a pick'em. So that line has dropped. Over under at 54.5. I like the under here for what it's worth. A&M's got a stout defense. LSU's got a great offense. Quarterback play has been great for them so far this year. LSU deserves their flowers. Both teams suffered losses in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Winner of this is in the driver's seat for the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, both undefeated in conference. It's just kind of what style play do you like more? Do you like offense, or do you like the defense of A&M? And
who's gonna control the pace of the game?
That's what this is going to come down to. This is in the words of the boys on that 4-letter network doing it's like A&M close, real close. But yeah, that'd be the real fake game of the week. That'll get us into our ECU preview. We're favorited. Woo! 7.5-point favorites at home against Temple, 2 p.m. 48.5 is the total. And when you look at these teams' average points per game, you get wide. Temple averaging about 19 points per game. Meanwhile, we're averaging 24. And we've talked about East Carolina's defense. These last 2 weeks I think it's hard to look at our defensive stats because I think our team truthfully did give up in the second half against Charlotte.
No doubt.
Which is funny, you get the complete opposite end of the spectrum last week where they tried to make it a ball game.
I wonder if they had a feeling it was their last chance to save
I think
their coach.
so. And then I spent a little time talking about kind of the outpour from players, which I think is to be expected.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially when you have a player's coach. Had a player's coach like Houston, not to get off topic, but the players are going to love him, but you got to get
which makes this line even more interesting.
Yeah.
What do you get from ECU this week?
I'm hopefully optimistic. That's the words I'll go with.
I mean, it's Temple. They're a putrid football team.
I do think we'll have a decent crowd show as well. You know, in a situation where you do, lose the coach to the kids, the students themselves, they need a strong showing from the fan base to kind of say, hey, okay, there's still folks behind us. They still believe in us. It's just they needed a new face on this thing. And so I think it is important that a lot of fans, that we go out, show out. But I do think we'll have a good crowd. And honestly, I think we could win this football game. I mean, Blake Harrell's a defensive-minded guy, but so is Mike Houston. I like Blake Harrell's defensive mind so much more than Mike Houston. And honestly,
I hope he sticks around through the coaching change too.
I do too.
For what it's worth.
I don't think. I'll be honest. I don't think it's possible. Unless he becomes the head coach, I don't think it's possible.
And I just don't think that's going to happen either.
Yep. I wish. I don't know if I would hate it if it did. I'll be 1,000% honest with you. I don't know that I would be upset. I would question it a little bit, but I don't know. Worst case scenario, run a 1 or 2 year experiment with it. I don't know if I would hate that.
I'm not against it.
Hot take of the day.
He's going to have a couple weeks to prove it.
Exactly. He comes out here and goes, what? We got 5 games left? 4 games left?
Yeah. 5,
I think.
Yeah, I can go
through
the schedule.
We're 3-4 now, right?
Yeah, we're 3-4.
3-4. So we got 5 games left. He goes 4-1. Are we talking Blake Harrell in a couple weeks? And we're sitting right back here on this couch having that conversation of, do we hire him or do we go elsewhere?
4-1 would be impressive. There's winnable games on the schedule. There's one that you've had circled all year on the schedule still.
North Texas, yeah. That's I think it's an L. I don't know why. We can't travel and win a game like that.
I know it's hard to say winnable games with the way this team's looked, but you got Florida Atlantic after Temple. I think those are both winnable games. I think Tulsa's a winnable game. Yeah. North Texas, we'll see. Navy, probably not. Only thing is we get Navy at home to end the year.
We do get Navy at home. Play spoiler. And here's the thing, though. Like, the best part, even though we've sucked this year, we're not out of bowl contention.
No.
We can win 3 of these games. Like, it's just, will we? Probably not, but it's not.
They're there.
Exactly. They're there. And it starts with Temple, though. You
got to win this game.
Temple.
You got to win this game.
Like, they are an abysmal football program. They have always, in our tenure here in Greenville, North Carolina, have been an abysmal football program.
Outside of a year or two, they've been an abysmal football program for the last 30 years.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wasn't sure when I knew they had a couple years that were okay.
With Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell was there, and he had a good season. I think it was a good season, and then he left,
and then he got another job. But no, you got to handle Temple, and then you go look into the back half of the season and try to go 2-2. I'll be honest. At this point, I think, and this is just my opinion as a fan, as a follower, as a whatever you want to call it. I think you got to shoot for 6-6 this season. If you get to 6-6 and make a bowl game, you have accomplished great things, Blake Harrell, as the head coach.
Yep.
Anything better than that, and I think we're having a conversation of should he be the new head coach, personally.
I had 2 stats that I found kind of really intriguing. Temple allows 210 yards through on the ground, rather, not through the air. That's ranks 120th in the nation.
Wow.
They're only giving up 168 yards passing, though, which ranks 16th in the country. And as a team that has not leaned on their ground game, which was something when I was talking about coaches and why another reason I lean a little more Garrett Riley, you look back through his rushing statistics, and I can run back through them real quick just because you weren't here. Let's see. First year at TCU, 31st in the country. First year at Clemson, 43rd in the country, 27th in the country this year. I mean, he's averaging over 150 yards on the ground a game everywhere he's gone.
I love that.
And especially in a football environment where it's tough to average 200 yards a game. The ground attack's got to be there. Harris has got to have a big game. That being said, I think it's really low scoring. Paul did give me his pick, but their pass D looks good. They are bad at running the ball, and they are bad at stopping the run. I think this could be a real game management game, especially for an interim coach. Just hold the ball. Maybe Houston was holding back Coach Baker. I don't know. Paul's got this.
That's my hope.
Yeah, Paul's got this at 28-24 ECU. I got this 21-18 ECU.
Yeah. I'm in that same area. Honestly, I think it's going to be a little bit uglier than that though.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like 23-19 ballpark.
Yeah.
Like where each team kicks
ugly scores.
Each team kicks 4 field goals.
Yeah.
Right? Like each team gets 12 points off of that or from that or yeah. Like that's what I'm thinking. Or ECU kicks 3 and they kick 4 or something. Like something it's just gonna be I think it's gonna be a dirty, ugly game. Like it just not pretty football. Not pretty football. Let's just put it out.
This is as someone in Barstool said, this is the close your eyes game of the week.
Agreed.
Well, you've done most of Paul's legwork, so I appreciate that. We'll run through the pick 6 and we'll probably wrap it up. A little short show here. Paul has got Ole Miss minus 20.5 versus Oklahoma. Nebraska at Ohio State. He's taking over 48.5. I think Ohio State's going to do a bulk of the legwork there. Raiola's not looked great the last couple of weeks. Stanford plus 2.5 versus Wake. Louisiana Monroe plus 7.5 at South Alabama. It's got Texas money line versus LSU and Colorado minus 5.5 versus Cincy. I think that's a low spread for them. I think that could be an easy cover for them.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, got a little wild with it. I got 2 money lines.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Boise State minus 3.5 tomorrow night at UNLV. Potential preview of what will be the Mountain West Conference Championship game. At the end of the day, I like Genty, man, and I just think they're gonna win.
Your Heisman front runner.
Hopefully by 4. I got Indiana minus 6.5 versus Washington. Washington's a bad football team, and I think Indiana keeps rolling. Got the game at home. I think they just blow the doors off of them. For whatever reason, BYU is an underdog going to UCF. I don't know why. I don't know if BYU is hurt. But BYU money line plus 105. I stole that. It was too funny not to steal.
That was good.
Riding Miami's ability to score points on bad teams. We got Miami minus 20.5 versus FSU. Got Texas A&M. I did not, again, said the line changed. I got them at minus 1.5 before it became a pick 'em. Wish I had it as a pick 'em.
Yeah.
Texas A&M minus 1.5 versus LSU. It's nothing against LSU. I just think it's at Kyle Field. I really think that is the determining factor is that LSU is on the road.
Yeah.
That is a tough environment.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't know because Georgia's just never going to play there. They've been in the conference 14 years there, and we have not gone to Kyle Field.
Wow. That's crazy.
And then last, shout out Mark Miller. I got Michigan State money line plus 165 heading into the big house in Ann Arbor. I got them beating the Wolverines. The Sheldon Moore firing starts now. I think Michigan State's flat better than they are. Childs has looked great the last couple of weeks. They've got a pretty stout defense. Give me the Spartans. We'll give the chat a little more time to go things. And
Zach says go Tigers.
Yeah, I saw that. I lost my train. Half the reason I wanted you here. Let you have some fun with it. People want us to talk about other sports. Isn't game 1 tonight? Tomorrow? Give me a preview. What do you got?
I'm wearing the shirt.
We got Dodgers. We got Dodgers Yankees. I mean, Rob Manfred's wet dream.
Yeah, we got the two stars of baseball. I mean, I think Major League Baseball as a whole, Manfred especially, got what they wanted. They got to put their two biggest markets and their two biggest players
Yep.
on the biggest stage for a 7-game series.
Mm-hmm.
Winner takes all. I think we got it, and I think anybody who's complaining, oh yeah, these two big teams, they've made it, whatever. I think anybody complaining, and if you're not watching this World Series every second of it, you're not a true baseball fan, and that's no dig. That's no dig at the casuals.
I think this is going to draw in casuals.
Exactly. I do too. I think the star factor is there. Now, that being said, I'm sure everybody can see I'm wearing a Yankee shirt right now. So I have my own biases. But truthfully, I do believe that we have the ball club to win this. I think we have a slight leg up in pitching, and I think that's going to make the difference. Personally, I think the offenses are in very similar spots. We've got guys who are very hot coming into the playoffs. Star players. Honestly, we're getting production from guys we weren't expecting. And so
knows that Gary Bettman exists. Is he the worst commissioner in sports? No, Gary Bettman exists.
In my world, yes, he is. He's absolutely the worst. And 2029 or whatever year it is, his contract is over. That is when that is the day I'm waiting for. I cannot wait for it. But no, I think our pitching depth is there, and like I said, we're getting support right this minute in our previous two series is from Gleyber Torres has got swinging a hot bat right now. Giancarlo Stanton he's
one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now. He was
the MVP of your ALCS. I mean, he only had 4 hits during the series, but they were all homers. Like, and again, yeah, whatever. He strikes out, does stuff, but he's also having quality at bats in these postseason series.
Big quaff guy.
He's walking. He's seeing 6-7 pitches. Like we're seeing a different Stanton. We're seeing 2017 NL MVP Stanton back. In for a few days, and it's honestly kind of glorious, especially as a Yankees fan, because he's honestly sucked.
Yeah,
his time there, he's been hurt. He can't do anything. So it's nice to see him. Honestly, Judge has been the letdown, and the thing is, I think Judge on this big stage will turn it back on.
Yeah.
The question is, can the other guys keep it going? I love the fact that we'll be able to pitch Garrett Cole twice.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's the best pitcher on either staff.
Yeah.
Personally, the Dodgers have some great pitchers, and they have some guys who have been incredible.
I mean, how old is
Clayton? And they have some young guys. Yeah, I don't even know if Clayton's on the roster right now.
I'm not mistaken. Hurt, isn't he?
I think he's hurt.
Yeah.
I'm an American League fan, so I've been watching that all playoffs. I've kept up with the NL, but I don't know the injury stuff. I think Kershaw's out, but like you've got Yamamoto, you've got like Daniel Hudson, you've got Jack Flaherty, and you've got
former Detroit Tiger.
Bueller, yeah, Flaherty. Flaherty's a former a lot of things. Flaherty's been a lot of places.
But I know one thing that intrigued me. Obviously, you're a way bigger baseball fan than I am. Yeah. I have not really kept up with baseball since the Tigers were consistently good. Mm-hmm. But both spots and both lineups have this similar like 3-headed monster where I believe the Dodgers, it goes with Shohei leading off, then Mookie into Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys have John Carlos into Judge into somebody else.
So ours is and they may have switched it up and are letting Shohei lead off, but I think they're going Mookie, Shohei,
which
Freddie.
I don't get why. I saw a stat that Mookie leading off, or not Mookie, Shohei leading off is not the hitter he is when
he's deeper in the lineup and has guys on base. Absolutely. And so I think that's what they've been doing, honestly, or at least that's what they were doing throughout most of the regular season. And I assume they've kept that strategy for the playoffs. The Yankees right now are running, they're going Soto, Judge.
That's what it is, Soto, Judge,
and then Stanton, which Soto's been incredible too. I'm going to tell you right now, the home run he hit on Saturday night last week. I mean, I was near tears. It was glorious. I knew that put the bell on it.
Player.
Oh my gosh, he can hit the living crap out of a baseball. And I knew he had hit that one out off the. I'd love that swing off. I mean, just from the rip. Oh, it was glorious, exciting moment. First time since 2009. I knew we had made a World Series, so it was a big moment of relief for Yankees fans. But we've got that. That's really the meat of our lineup. But the thing is, and what's been propelling the Yankees and especially our offense throughout this postseason is the fact that Gleyber Torres in the leadoff spot has been getting the hell on base.
Yeah.
So then now you've got Gleyber getting on base. Then Soto's getting a hit or getting on base. He's either driving Gleyber in or he's putting them both in scoring position.
I think Soto's hitting over 300 in the postseason right now, like 384 or something.
Close to 400.
Yeah.
And then here's the thing. Even if Judge isn't getting the pure swings on the ball right now, even if he's hitting just long fly balls, after those two guys are getting on base consistently at the same time, you're getting sack fly RBIs, and you're putting runs up early in the game, and before the other team knows it, they're down 2 or 3, and you can bury them if you have get a couple guys on base and get a little rally in the next couple innings. And no, my prediction, I'll put it out there. I think it goes 6 games.
That's what I was gonna say. Yankees in 6 or 7.
I don't. The best scenario for the Yankees is you win one of your first 2 games because the series goes 2 in LA, 3 in New York, 2 in LA.
Yeah.
So I think the best scenario is for the Yankees to win and have the easiest path to the title. Steal 1 in LA, win all 3 in New York. Sweep in New York. Likely won't happen. I do still think we need to and will take 1 in LA. I think we will take 2 out of 3 in New York, and then I think we will take Game 6 to start off in LA and put it to bed there. You don't get to celebrate in front of your home fans, but that's what the parade's for. So
yeah, I mean, I don't have a prediction. I just figured you were going to go Yankees in either 6 or 7.
Yeah, so. I think Yankees in 6. I'd love to see it in 5, though. Yeah. I think it's possible in 5, but I don't think
it's 2 best teams in baseball. So a little road series preview in the college football show. A little shorter show again. Back-to-back weeks, we've kind of kept it under an hour. Chat's not doing much, so I'm gonna probably start wrapping it up here. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. It helps out a lot. Twitter, just give us a follow, retweet, share the show with a friend. Look for an NHL preview, Western Conference, probably sometime around lunch tomorrow. And then Eastern Conference will post later Friday evening. So 2 new videos to look out for. I'll post the links on Twitter as well. If not, we'll see you back next Thursday, 8 o'clock on the Downey Sports College Football Show. Got to mix it up this week. I'm Jacob Miller. He's Matt Jones. He's got the sign off. No music this time because I'm lazy. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.